Welcome to News Round, where we recap stories that made headlines during the week. I'm Olumide Macaulay. Now the headlines. A major shift hits the political landscape in Delta State as Governor Sheriff Oborevwori and some other stalwarts of the People's Democratic Party defect to the ruling All Progressives Congress. NIMET, that's the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, was also in the news this week. The federal government's intervention caused workers to call off the strike, which ground flights across the country on Thursday. And on the incessant attacks on the plateau, State's Church and Denominational Leaders Forum staged a peace walk to protest the brutal killings, called for federal government intervention. Plus, it was a sad Easter Monday with the passing of Pope Francis, who died at the age of 88. That's News Round in View. Thank you for joining us. News Round begins in the south region of the country, specifically in Delta State, where the People's Democratic Party suffered a major blow, to say the least. The governor, Sheriff Oborevwori, officially left the PDP for the APC, and this was followed by a mass exodus of other PDP stalwarts. Among them is the former governor, Ifeanyi Okowa, National and State Assembly members, all 25 local government chairmen, as well as the entire PDP state executive.
The whispers have finally been confirmed. After weeks of speculation, Governor Sheriff Oborevwori has officially defected from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressives Congress, triggering a major political realignment in Delta State. A major political decision has emerged from a closed-door stakeholders meeting at the Government House in Asaba, where key PDP figures in Delta State met to address deepening internal challenges within the party. The high-stakes meeting at Government House Asaba, which preceded the mass defection in Delta State's political landscape, saw the attendance of several key figures and numerous top PDP executives and influential stakeholders from across the state.
It is said that when the taste of the palm wine changes, the drinking pattern also changes. And the leaders of the party, in the course of the consultation, were unanimous in their view that the political temperature have changed, the taste of the palm wine in this instance have also changed, and there was a need for us to adjust the drinking pattern. And in adjusting that drinking pattern, we needed to take a decision that will further help to cement the development in our state, to build the bond of love that have existed in our state, to further advance the cause of security and welfare of our people, and to a very large extent, ensure that development in Delta, because every politics is local, is not truncated. And in taking that decision, we came to the inevitable conclusion that moving out of the PDP is very, very necessary for us to be able to collaborate with our kith and kin and build that state that every Delta will be proud of.
The leaders do not just confirm their exit from the PDP, they also offer key reasons behind the decision, citing internal challenges and the need for a new political direction.
If you look well, the current PDP state chairman is here. He was in the meeting. The governor of the state was in the meeting. The deputy governor was in the meeting. The Right Honorable Speaker of the House of Assembly was in the meeting. The immediate past governor of Delta State, who ran as vice presidential candidate of the party, was in the meeting. National Assembly members, both serving and non-serving, who are still members of the party, were in the meeting. House of Assembly members were all in the meeting. In fact, my brother, all the local government party chairmen, council chairmen, everybody who is who in Delta State was in the meeting.
Shortly after the major political shift, Governor Sheriff Oborowori convened a closed-door session with all 25 local government chairmen. While he declined to speak directly with journalists, the governor assured that an official statement will be released in the coming days.
You want to hear from me?
Yes, Excellency.
You will hear from me on Monday. I just briefed my council chairman to invite local government. They said we are waiting. Where shall we go?
Where shall we go?
We are always certified.
Preparations are now in full swing for a formal defection rally where the governor will be officially welcomed into the APC. The event is expected to feature the vice president and several high-ranking party officials.
Meanwhile, unions of Nigerian aviation professionals have called off the industrial action which crippled the sector on Thursday. The suspension of the industrial action followed a meeting by the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Mr. Festus Keyamo, who has vowed to see to all the demands of the workers of the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET. Now, the workers had downed tools over the non-implementation of the national minimum wage, past allowances, amongst other issues.
This meeting between the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Mr. Festus Keyamo, the Director General, NIMET, officials of the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority and unions of the Nigerian aviation professionals is aimed at ensuring a speedy resolution of issues raised by the unions. The meeting begins behind closed doors as journalists are asked to take their leave. After 5 hours of deliberations on the demands of the protesting members bordering on the non-implementation of the new minimum wage, ignoring requests to include omitted staff and past allowances, and neglecting key training programs, among other issues, the Minister of Aviation speaks on the outcome of the meeting.
We looked at the issues and we discovered that there was not much disagreement, really. They raised the issue of salary relativity with other agencies. We have since agreed on this. I was the one in our last stakeholders meeting in Lagos. I agreed that the salaries of NIMET in particular, the Nigerian Meteorological Services, was atrocious. It was not at par with other aviation agencies, and it was only natural that their patience will run very thin.
The minister then makes a promise to write to the President and Minister of Finance over the issues raised.
It has been agreed that I will immediately write a letter to Mr. President, acknowledged, and show them the acknowledgement copy by latest Monday or Tuesday next week for the release of these funds for payments, for immediate payment of this shortfall. So I will be doing a letter in that regard immediately and follow it up with the Minister of Finance.
The elated union officials immediately announced the suspension of their industrial action.
The communique, you can see in the communique all the demands, our requests, he have attended to it. Even out of the demands, we have right now, as I'm speaking to you, he has attended to it, which it has been approved.
With the union's pledge to call off the strike, the workers are optimistic that the federal government will match words with action.
More observers continue to raise their voices over the killings in Plateau, and this time the Plateau Church Denominational Leaders Forum is calling the federal government to fulfill its constitutional responsibility to protect the lives and property of citizens and strengthen the capacity of the state government to provide adequate security. The forum, during a peace walk in Jos to protest the brutal killings in some communities of Bokos and Bassa local government, is also demanding immediate intervention of the federal government with recommendations for the establishment and equipping of community policing outposts, as well as resettling displaced persons, amongst other recommendations.
Some residents in Plateau State, under the leadership of the Church Denominational Leaders Forum,
and the Christian Association of Nigeria Plateau State Chapter are on a peace walk to protest renewed killings in the state and as a mark of honor for the dead and a cry for justice. The members of the church, dressed in black, red and white attire, commenced the peace walk from the Rayfield roundabout, accompanied by the church leadership with songs of worship on the long walk. The peace walk terminates at the Government House in Little Rayfield, where Governor Caleb Mutuang and members of the State Executive Council, including National and State Assembly members, received the protesters.
Our recommendation.
The chairman of the forum, who is also the president of Church of Christ and Nations, presents their demands to the governor for onward transmission to President Bola Tinubu.
The federal and state governments should conduct a thorough and transparent investigation into these terrorist attacks. These include identifying and prosecuting not only the direct perpetrators, but also their sponsors, financiers, and collaborators.
The governor, in response, assures them the message will reach the president, as well as emphasizing government's determination in ensuring that the people are provided with adequate security.
I want you to know that Mr. President has assured me that he wants to see an end to this cycle of violence. And I, as your governor, I want to tell you again this afternoon that I didn't come to observe burial ceremonies. I came that the glory of Plateau will be restored.
The peace walk, tagged Holy Protest, is to call in government's attention to the incessant attacks and killings and to demand for peace, justice and security for every life in Plateau State and across Nigeria.
Kwara State Governor Abdulrahman Abdulrazak has visited the Emir of Kaima to offer his condolences following the deadly bandit attack. The incident, which took place within the Kangi National Park, tragically claimed the lives of 7 community members, including local vigilante groups.
The sleepy town Kayama recently came under attack from bandits said to have relocated from Kebbi State to the Kangi National Park in Kayama. Governor Abdulrazak and security chiefs are here on a condolence visit to the Emir over the killings of unspecified number of vigilante members.
That is what is happened after the operation.
The Emir, visibly emotional, explains the likely cause of the attack.
In terms of security, it's not a new thing. It has been a daily acquire, and the last one was about 4 hours ago. The last vigilante was buried at Banisula, just about 2 hours ago. So it has been acquiring countless, more than 15. Things started gradually at when they intercept and all the rest, but we have been keeping since 2015 or 16. All this will not be over. It's because of the effort of the government, and that's what led to the deployment of the soldiers here.
The general officer commanding 2 Division Ibadan assures of the army's readiness to flush out bandits within days.
Our own assessment initially was that some of them were loggers, some were illegal miners, legal loggers, and all sorts of crafts taking place there. I can assure you, from our end in the Nigerian Army, and also as a member of the armed forces, is that we shall do everything possible to ensure that we have a safer park and a safer area within Kayama and by extension Baruten and Borgu local government.
The commitment of the federal government to make all national parks safe is highlighted.
The president and the National Security Advisor, they've approved a security policy where ungoverned spaces in national parks will no longer remain in that status. Now, what you see today is the non-state actors targeting the vigilantes, the pathfinders who knew the tracks, targeting them in reprisal attacks. So this will come to pass.
Although the military is vowing to take proactive steps to flush out bandits in both local government, the bandits appear to be unrelenting as Keyama and Barutin communities remain under threat.
When Newsround returns, we reflect on the life and times of a figure who touched hearts across faiths and borders, Pope Francis. Please stay with us. We live in an era of massive innovation, true ideas that impact every industry and society, cutting-edge technology that gives you a glimpse of the future, intuitive minds that meet the demand of a revolution of talent. The future of enterprise lies in the digital world. It's full of questions and yet solutions. Join us on Tech Trends as we bring you the finest blend of technology and the latest happenings in the tech space. Tech Trends, the tech edge you need. Welcome back to Newsround, where we bring you a recap of stories that made headlines during the week, such as this one, which was the sad passing of Pope Francis, who died on Easter Monday at the age of 88. The Vatican says the pontiff died of stroke and a subsequent irreversible heart failure. Pope Francis, the first Latin American pontiff, renowned for his loyalty, humility, and concern for the poor, died at his residence at Casa Santa Marta, a guest house of the Vatican where he'd lived since his election in 2013. The pontiff, who suffered from chronic lung disease and had part of one lung removed as a young man, was admitted to the Gemelli Hospital on February the 14th this year for respiratory crisis that developed into double pneumonia. He spent 38 days there, the longest hospitalization of his 12-year papacy. We end the program looking back at the extraordinary life and times of a pontiff who redefined the papacy.
Born Jorge Mario Bergoglio on December 17, 1936, Pope Francis became the first pope from the Society of Jesus, the Jesuit order, the first from the Americas and the Southern Hemisphere, and the first born or raised outside Europe since the 8th century Syrian Pope Gregory II. His birthplace was Buenos Aires, Argentina, where he was ordained Catholic priest in 1969. And from 1973 to 1979, he was a Jesuit provincial superior in Argentina. He later became the Archbishop of Buenos Aires in 1998 and was created a cardinal in 2001 by Pope John Paul II. Following the resignation of Pope Benedict XVI on February 28th, a papal conclave elected Bergoglio as his successor on March 13th of the same year. He chose Francis as his papal name in honor of Saint Francis of Assisi. Pope Francis was known throughout his public life for his humility, emphasis on God's mercy, international visibility as Pope, concern for the poor, and commitment to interreligious dialogue. He was also known for having less formal approach to the papacy than his predecessors. For instance, choosing to reside in the Domus Sancti Marthae, known as the Martha Guest House, rather than in the papal apartments of the Apostolic Palace used by previous popes. Pope Francis made women full members of dicasteries in the Roman Curia. He was a critic of unbridled capitalism, consumerism, and overdevelopment, and made action on climate change a leading focus of his papacy. He is widely interpreted as denouncing the death penalty as intrinsically evil, stating that the Catholic Church is committed to its abolition. Pope Francis was a peacemaker and a diplomat, helping to restore full diplomatic relations between the United States and Cuba. He negotiated a deal with China to defend how much influence the Communist Party had in appointing Chinese bishops and supported the cause of refugees. He called for peace in Gaza following the Israeli offensive after the attack by the Hamas militant group. He prayed for peace in Syria, in Yemen, and between Russia and Ukraine. Pope Francis prayed for those in troubled spots in Africa, using his Urbi et Orbi to draw world attention, first on certain occasions, then later formed part of his messages on a regular basis. He made trips to at least 72 countries around the world, including Kenya, Uganda, the Central African Republic, and Morocco, even South Sudan in Africa.
Cari fratelli e sorelle, buona Pasqua.
His last foreign trip was to France, where he attended the closing of a conference on popular religiosity in the Mediterranean, organized by Cardinal François-Xavier Bustillo in Corsica. Much of his travels within the last 5 years have been within Italy, visiting Venice, Verona, Fasano, and Trieste. In the last 5 weeks, Pope Francis had been in and out of hospital, following a lengthy battle with double pneumonia and other health issues. He missed the Good Friday service at St. Peter's Basilica, but attended the Easter Sunday service, even though he did not give the sermon, was strong enough to wish Catholic faithful a happy Easter. He died Easter Monday morning at 7:35.
And that's Newsround today, where we just brought you stories that made headlines during the week. I'm Olumide Macaulay. Thank you for watching.